Greetings once again, friends. I am Manduke on Manduke Reviews. Today I'm basically going to be doing a sort of informal rant. I mean, my stuff is typically informal, but I'm going to be even more informal than usual. Um, I'm basically going to kind of give my honest opinion about why Dragon Ball Z is my favorite anime. Now, I kind of went in my head and I kind of calculated a list of my top 10 favorite anime, and it's actually quite all over the place. Some shows would make sense to some people, and there might be one or two you've never heard of before. I've watched a lot of anime, I've seen a bunch of different genres, and I like all different kinds. But the most endearing to me would probably be Dragon Ball Z. It was the first big anime I ever watched. It was the first one I really got hooked into. It was my introduction to anime, more or less. And like everyone else, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, that got hooked into it, Dragon Ball Z was the most awesome cartoon on TV. And really, when you compare it to most of the things that were on, as far as pure action, suspense, it really doesn't get more epic. And it's kind of hard to top it today, even no matter what show you're talking about, in my opinion. It's just, it was that heart-stopping action and suspense and pure epicness of the story, which just really kind of resounded with us kids. And to this day, it still impacted me. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I say it's my favorite, because I have never loved another anime. In fact, I've never really loved another cartoon or TV show in general more than Dragon Ball Z. And this is something that I've recently been rediscovering. The show is not without its flaws, obviously. I've gone over them before, I think, and many people have discussed it, I'm sure. I mean, yes, sometimes the reusing of scenes, was often choppy, kind of annoying. They tried to drag things out. Some of the filler was really annoying. The voice acting wasn't too great to begin with. For the most part, the dialogue was changed from the manga, so a lot of times it wasn't that great. No, not always. Sometimes it was good. Bruce Falconer's soundtrack got overused. But you know what? There are negative aspects to the show, and I'm willing to admit that. But in a way, it kind of adds to the charm of it. And I'm going to talk about that other show later. The Kai. But as far as Dragon Ball Z, I think the main reason why Dragon Ball Z is my personal favorite is because I believe that it has some of the most awesome characters in all of anime. And despite what some people might say, the storyline, while relatively simple, isn't bad. Usually it moves at a pretty good pace. And it's pretty impressive that, despite it taking a really long time to accomplish fairly simple things, the show manages to keep us in suspense. Maybe not so much more as it did when we were kids, but to a certain degree it's still there. And, really, these characters are just amazing. They're some of the most memorable, some of the most interesting, and they do develop. There is a certain amount of character development in the show, especially with certain characters. It really does develop. And, it's subtle. And there are themes in the show, but they're also subtle. And I think that that's something that people often miss. And maybe that's one reason why it means so much to me, is because I really got connected to those characters, and they really helped me enhance the enjoyment of the show. And I think it's really the same for a lot of other people. So people can bash DBZ, and I'll be honest, there was a time when I was embarrassed to admit it. Like, among other anime fans, that watch more sophisticated anime, and, I enjoy watching them myself. I kind of kept my love of Dragon Ball Z in the back of my head. I didn't talk about it too much because, quite frankly, I was embarrassed. People say that, I watch Dragon Ball Z, but now I'm into real anime. I think Dragon Ball Z captures the essence of all the best things about anime. At least action, fighting anime. I just think it's, it had great music. The Bruce Falconer soundtrack is truly awesome, though admittedly a little overused, but still really good. The voice acting wasn't horrible. I mean, it was mediocre, and sometimes it was bad, but it was good. But overall, I think just the pure epicness of the story and its broad scope was really cool. It's extremely action-packed and suspenseful. It's got some cool characters, and there's something really touching about it. And even those little moments where there's no fighting or anything, the humor, the family stuff, the calm episodes, honestly, are some of the really good ones. if you stop and look at them. You know, you can enjoy pretty much all of Dragon Ball Z, good and bad. And like I said, it might not be the best anime made, but in my opinion, it's one of the most influential and one of the greatest in its own way. And it's my personal favorite. And it's basically why. So, thank you. That was that. This is Manduke signing off, and until next time, you'll hear more of my rants. Adios.